Hi peeps, it's Knock.
And Ricardo.
And we are
Thinking Cube. We are Thinking Cube, a podcast created by Knock and Ricardo to talk about our journey into becoming better people. We will talk about how to improve yourself, how to improve your relationships with your family, your friends, and others. And generally talking how to live a more human life.
In this episode, we're continuing to talk about control and expectations. Last week, we spoke about control and expectations with our family member, and this week, we want to talk about control and expectations in relationships.
Yeah.
So we want to take this opportunity to discovering, our expectations for each other, and just be honest with each other.
Yeah, be honest with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just
explore some of the expectations we had or we still have,
and how they are bad for us, how they have negatively affected our relationships.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
So trigger warning. Yeah.
Things might get heated.
We're probably gonna find this episode.
Yeah, so bear with us.
Okay.
It is informative.
So,
it is educational.
Yeah, it is informative, you guys. We learned some lessons.
Yeah.
Over the years, without fight.
Yeah.
So before the episode, we actually prepared kind of like one thing that we expected from each other. That we spent some time reflecting. Okay.
Yeah.
And we came up with like one thing that we expected from each other. We thought that was the main thing that kind of like brought a lot of like problems.
Yeah, a lot of problems, a lot of fighting,
Yeah.
a lot of pain
in our relationship.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about them.
Yeah.
We never spoke about this. It's like it's a new experience for us
New
too.
experience. Okay, so
You wanna go first?
okay, I'll go first.
So tell me, what's one expectation you had or have for me that you think that brought a lot of problems in our relationship?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely been a couple throughout our relationship, and probably even more at a subconscious level.
Not a couple, like many, all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of these, like I'm saying, like some of them are even like subconscious, that like you have these expectations, but you don't even realize that you have these expectations, right? But definitely, I think the one that has been the most prevalent, the most impactful, that has affected our relationship and caused a lot of pains and fights and suffering
Issues.
has been the fact that when an issue comes up, when you raise an issue, I feel the need to explain myself until I am understood and forgiven immediately afterwards. I feel like and that's honestly very unreasonable on my part.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? But like, I feel now that I've thought about it, reflect on it, it's definitely something that I do a lot, and it's almost like the cause of like a lot of the problems that we've had. Because there will be a small issue. So for example, let me tell you guys.
Okay. Give me an example. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember these fights anymore.
Yeah. So, and the thing about not remembering them is because like, they're about something small. They could be about something small. They always start with something small, right?
They always start with something small.
But with this expectation that I have, right? It turned things into, from just like a small issue to something big. Okay. So I have the bad habit of, when I leave my room to like go do something quick, I'll leave the fan on or I'll leave the light on because I think like, oh, it's okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes. But am I back in 2 minutes?
Yeah, never.
Never, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm back in like 30 minutes, like I go and do one thing, but then I ended up doing more things, and then it takes some time.
Yeah, you never come back in 2 minutes. Like, every single time, like I walk past your room and you're not in there, the fan is on, and like, you know what? Okay, I
Where's Ricardo?
And
Who
every
knows?
time I give you the benefit of the doubt.
So this small issue turns into something bigger because when you raise the issue, right? When you tell me like, Ricardo, I think it's kind of wasteful. No, very wasteful when you're doing this all the time. When you just like leave it and like, you know, leave it on all the time, and like you don't come back to your room until like, you know, half an hour later. And what I've done so much is because I have these expectations that I need to be understood, and you know, I need to be forgiven for what I do, you know, for this like simple mistakes that I do, right? Simple mistakes in quotation marks. Is that I try to, whenever she, you know, tells me about this issue, I try and make my point, and I'm like, no, Nog, it's because I was just stepping out for, you know, doing this, and then I saw this other thing that I had to do, you know, and then I started making the milk, and then, you know, and then I had to like get the laundry, so like, you know, like
it's
I'm
never
sorry,
2
you know,
minutes,
it's never 2 minutes, right? And like, you know, and I'm just trying to explain myself, I'm just trying to like, you know, and I just talk a lot, you know, I end up talking a lot, and like,
I just want to resolve the issue.
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care about your reasoning.
But I get so defensive, right? Yeah, and it all stems
but what
from
was
that.
what was it that you want to prove? You know, like why did you like trying to explain yourself so much? And
I think what I want to prove is that like my point, like I'm right, you know, I'm right, and no, you're wrong, you know, like okay, like and this is why my apology that comes afterwards is not even like doesn't feel good.
Sincere.
It doesn't feel sincere. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
right.
Let me tell this issue in like my point of view. Okay,
go.
So you know, like I don't really like you know, like I don't like catch your mistakes right away or anything like that. You know, like I wait. You know, I give you the benefit of the doubt. Right. It's not like the first time I see that the fan is on. You know, it's probably like, you know, the 5th time. You know, or something like that. Then I was like, okay, you know, it's ridiculous now, right? Like, you know, I understand that sometimes, you know, you need to step out and you forget about it. Like, it's normal, right? But if it happens all the time, then it's like, it's not like a one-time thing anymore. It's like a many times thing, right?
It's like a bad habit that is like gonna stay there until you know, tell me like, hey, you know, what's up with that? You know, can we do something about it?
So I just want to be like constructive and, you know, raise this problem so that we can live together in like harmony or something, right? And, you know, I don't want to like attack you or anything like that. I just want to like, hey, this is a freaking problem. Like, can we do something about it? You know? But every single time, okay, and this like makes me feel really like worked up about all your issues, you know? Like, I feel like if I just say, hey, Ricardo, can you turn off the fan when you leave the room, right? And you're like, sure, you know? Like, you're like, oh, is that a problem or something? Then I can explain, yeah, like, you know, I've seen it like a few times that you left and, you know, not turn off the fan, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you'll be like, okay, you know, and that'll be that, right?
Yeah, that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, and that'll be the end of it. Like, you'll never hear it from me again, you know? But you're always like trying to explain that, like, oh, I left because I need to do this and that and this and like, it's not like I'm not understanding, okay? But it's getting ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like I don't even care, okay? I don't even care what your reasoning is. I just care that the problem is solved, okay?
Yeah, no, and I hear you, you know, like now I hear you, you know? Back when all of this was happening a lot, was like I was very defensive.
Yeah.
And because of that expectation that I have, right? That like oh no, this is an issue. No, look, listen to me.
The thing is like it. The thing is really hard is because, you know, we just start living together, and of course there are gonna be issues, you know? Like, it's like, you know, we just start living together, we just got used to each other. Like, there will be things that I don't like and there will be things that you don't like, right? You know, like, you don't like how like my room is always messy or something like that, you know? but like you know what I mean? Like, it's like never like I'm never like, oh, what the hell, and like this and that, you know? But like, you know, you're always like having a problem with like I have this problem, and you would always like fight me on it, right?
I want to be right, you know, like I feel like I need to be understood and I need to be right. That's why I need to be understood.
But like the thing is like, don't you think that like if you're right, that it doesn't change anything? Like, even if, like, if I'm right or if you're right, it doesn't change anything, you know? The problem is still there. Yeah,
the fan's still on, the light's still on.
No, and we still fight.
You
know, we're unhappy with each other.
And I feel like it all stems from that expectation that I had. Because I want to be right. And it doesn't matter. And,
you know, the thing is, like, I feel like, you know, like, a lot of the time, like, I observe, like, my relationships with other people, you know, not just like romantic relationships, but also like friendships and things like that. Like, do you see how like there's this mindset, like this mentality of like, I have to be right, you know?
Yeah, that happens a
like
lot.
like right and wrong, you know?
Yeah.
But like I feel like it should be more kind of like, you know, if we like integrate this mentality of good and bad, you know, as in like, you know, this is a good thing to do, this is a kind thing to do, right? Like if I'm right, you know, and we still fight, you know, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I hear you. Like, this happens like every day in your life, in our lives. This happens all the time, right? We always want to be right, and it's really the wrong mentality to have here.
And you know, because like, you know, I think it will be more constructive if rather we think about wrong and right, we think about like good and bad, right?
Yeah.
And you know, if I think like, you know, like you know, instead of like maybe you should say this, but you say like, you know, instead of like you know, like being right, and you know, like rather like the good thing here is not to fight, right? And like have a peaceful like relationship, and like turn off the fan because it's like an always with.
Yeah, rather than like, you know, me trying to be right, you know, or like, you know, proving here that like, oh no, you're wrong for raising this up. I should just focus on like, you know, it's a good thing that like I turn off the fan and turn off the light, you know, and it's a good thing that she's like telling me about it, because I have not noticed.
And it's a good thing for us to have a peaceful relationship,
it's so
and not
important.
Fight about petty things.
Yeah, you know, we
right?
live together. We need to live in harmony, right? Well, what's the point of living with somebody you love if you're gonna be arguing all the time?
Yeah, about right and wrong.
Yeah, about being right and wrong. Like, you know, like, is that even love?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, if you're just always fighting about being right and being wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's better to focus on like, if this is a good thing to do, you know, like, you know, like, is this decision of like, you know, arguing back, is it like a good decision, or like will it bring like negativity?
Yeah, and it didn't, you know, it brought a lot of negativity to us, right? So like now I can look back and be like, damn, Ricardo.
And it's not like only negativity. It brought a lot of pain and suffering, and you know, sadness, and you know, because I just don't understand it.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
I just don't
I can
understand.
see that you were getting so frustrated with it, because like you
like,
felt like,
why do you need to explain yourself?
To fight
like,
all the time?
Are you calling me like an unreasonable person?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Every time you explain yourself like that, I feel like, am I being crazy? You know, like, am I the crazy person for not being understanding? You know, when, you know, like, it's not like the first time I see this, right? And I've been understanding and been patient, you know? So, you know, like, makes me feel really crazy.
I'm sorry. I really
Is this gaslighting?
No, but like, that's definitely how it has happened.
Is this gaslighting?
Right? This is not gaslighting.
Then I feel like gaslighting is things that makes you go crazy, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, definitely.
Put the feel away, Ricardo. Stop gaslighting.
No, my intention, right? But like, it ends up being like that.
Yeah.
And again, it all stems from that
expectation
that like, I need to be understood, therefore I need to, you know, keep talking until like she understands me and, you know, forgives me, even though like what she's saying is completely reasonable, and I'm the one who's being unreasonable because I always want her to forgive me, you know, because the light's on. You know, she's not lying, you know, but I cannot hear her because I want to be heard.
So I have a question. So do you think that you still have this expectation?
I think sometimes, yeah, I still do, you know. I think that's still sometimes the first thought that I have. Like, I want to be right, and I want to prove that no, you're wrong. Like this is how it is.
When an issue comes up.
When an issue comes up.
Yeah.
But now that I reflect on it, I know that this is not a good mentality to have. I don't want to keep having this mentality of, you know, being right, being wrong. You know, things are like either right or wrong. Now that I know that this brings us so much suffering, like a lot of fighting in between us, then like I want to change that, right? I want to change this bad habit. And what I've done is that I think about it. I think about not looking at it in terms of right and wrong, but start shifting my thoughts, my mentality into thinking, is this a good thing, or is this a bad thing?
Like a good action.
Is this a good action? Is it good to like fire her and like make her understand that, you know, like, oh, I did this because of X and Y? Or is it just a good thing to just listen to her, and like I'll try to, you know, turn it off next time.
Nice. That's good that you're thinking like that. So, what do you think you've done? What action do you take so that you are able to shift your mindset from thinking right and wrong to thinking like, is this action good or is it a bad action?
Now, even when we're not fighting, even when there is no issues, I still think about shifting my mentality. I still think like, okay, you know what? I need to stop thinking about in terms of like I'm right, someone's wrong, or like I'm wrong this time, they're right. I just try and start thinking it in terms of, is this a good thing? Is this a good action? Is this like good words that I'm saying? Instead of, you know, what I just
So,
said.
like, even when there's no issue.
Even when there's no issue, I think about it, because that way when an issue comes up, you know, when, you know, like, you know, something arises, then because I've been practicing it, then my first thought is not to be defensive and prove
like,
that I'm right.
Instinct.
Yeah, my instinct, you know, starts to shift, right? Like this bad habit that I have starts to shift because I'm working on it every day, you know, like all the time. And then, you know, I start thinking like, okay, you know, she's saying something to me. I'm not gonna prove her that, you know, like I'm right or like she's wrong or anything like that. I'm just gonna like evaluate this, like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Like, why would I argue with her, you know, if this is gonna like make us fight and like, you know, lose our temper, like make us live in not in harmony, right? And it has worked, to be honest.
Don't you think that if
helped
it
us.
worked or not, maybe you should ask me?
You're right. No, I'm right. That's okay. So you tell me. Do you have you noticed a difference? Have you noticed what, like, that I'm not trying to fight you all the time anymore? I'm trying to argue with your opinions and things like
you know,
that.
okay, I'll be honest with you, right? Like there was some point that in a relationship that when there's an issue, I don't even want to tell you, you know, because I just get so tired of like always going to battle, like always having to like fight, you know, for like, hey, you know, like turning off the freaking fan is like
something
the good
super
thing.
silly.
And you know, like every single time I would raise like an issue, you would just like, you know, like you would just fight me, and I just don't get it, you know. And some point in our relationship, I just feel so like tired, you know, tired of raising problems. I just kind of like, you know what, like you do whatever you want to do, right? Like, would you rather that, or would you rather like me actually care about you?
Yeah, I
You know what I
want you
mean?
to care about me.
Like,
I want you to
I
like actually raise the issue, you
Yeah.
know? And like, because we're trying to build up, you know, a good harmonious place, right? Like, even
we
if
want to
when
be
you
able
like
to
don't
like
say
last,
anything, right?
you know?
Yeah.
We want to be able to like live together and last, you know, not like, you know, like live together and feel annoyed and like, you know, not sustainable, right?
Yeah, like what is that, you know?
Yeah, we want to build like that sustainability between us, you know?
Yeah, a good living
Yeah. You know, and you know, because like, you know, we see that like
living cube.
living cube, if we see that the end goal is living cube, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, you know, like sustainable like relationship, sustainable like happy relationship, right? You like, you know, if that's the end goal and it's stay in our mind, then you know our decisions of our action in the present, you know, will lead towards that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I feel like, you know, like in this argument, like you expecting me to understand you and forgive you, I feel like, you know, like I'm also in the wrong, you know, like I'm also like didn't like obviously deal with it like so good, you know what I mean? So good, you know, because, you know, like it's always like, you know, I raise a problem, right? And then you get defensive and you talk for like 5 minutes explaining like what's the issue, like, you know, like why you did this, you know?
Why?
And then I would get really angry and I would like shout or like, you know,
or
like
storm out.
Yeah, or storm out or something like that. And I feel like, you know, like of course like I was angry and, you know, like my feelings are like justifiable, but even if it's like reasonable and justifiable, like I see that it's still like a bad action, like a bad reaction, you know, like because, you know, like it doesn't contribute to our end goal of like sustainable and happy relationship.
Living cube.
It's living cube. Yeah, you know, because like, you know, I would always think like, oh, you know, you're wrong for like, you know, like thinking like that, and you were wrong, okay, like you had to turn off the freaking lights. But you know, I was also wrong, you know. I was also wrong in, you know, like reacting in a way that is, not preserving our happiness and our peace.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? We were not wrong. We were just doing bad things.
No, I meant like wrong, as in like the fault was in both of us, It wasn't like just like your fault or my fault, right?
It's not one-sided.
Yeah, it was like both of, like, we had like in this fighting, in this back and forth, there is fault in both sides, you know? So in Vietnamese, right, there's this saying like, if there's no fire, there's no smoke,
Yeah.
So that it basically means that like when there's an argument, there's two
people.
Yeah, two sides.
You need two people to have an argument, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
nice
you know
saying.
what? I just think that like like instead of like thinking that it's like you versus me, we need to shift our mentality to like you and me versus the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we're trying to, live
thinking cube.
Thinking cube.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to think cube. We're gonna try to live cube, right? So like, what we want to do is work with each other and tackle the problem.
Yeah.
And that problem could be like me like leaving the fan on and the light on. Could be like not being like messy, unorganized, right?
Or even bigger things.
And and even bigger things.
And you know what? If we can't deal with this small like little issue, like
how are we gonna tackle the big issue? Yeah.
Okay, let's take a water break.
Water break.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. We're back. Back.
So I just talked about how my expectation of wanting to be understood and heard and forgiven right after you raise an issue or something.
Yeah.
Okay. How that has been bad for a relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I think it's time for you to talk about your expectation. What has been the expectations that you've had of me that has caused us to fight and like have trouble and just not live cube.
So what do you think? What do you think it is? I don't know, to be honest.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, what?
Okay, so one thing I was thinking about, it's like, it's kind of just building up on, I think you'll laugh, because I find it really funny, okay? Because, okay, so it's just building on, your thing, like I was saying, right, before the break, I was saying how, like, I get really tired of, like, raising the issues, right? So, like, for, like, some time, I think that, like, I always, like, expect you to just, like, know what the issue is, just like I just don't tell you, right? And I just become, like, angry, and then you're like, you deal with it, you know what I mean? So, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about, like, why, okay? Like, a little bit, like, my point of view.
Tell me why you
and then you can have the stage, okay? You can have the mic. So, like, the thing is, like, again, like, I get really frustrated with raising an issues and, like, it's not resolved, but instead you just fight me, right? So I just like, you know what? The issue is your issue, like, I don't care, I'm just gonna be angry until you resolve it, that's it. That's my choice of course of action, I expect you to understand what it is and know it and have the ability to read my mind, okay? That's my expectation.
You want me to read your mind?
Yeah.
Nice. I think guys out there, I think you felt this before, right?
This is dating tip 101,
You're just right there, you're just chilling, and then your girlfriend comes in and she's like mad, and she's like,
but what? And then you're like, what's the problem?
You're like, what happened? What's the problem? What's wrong?
I'm fine. Nothing's a problem.
And then like once you're like, all right then, if you say there's not a problem, she's like, I knew you wouldn't care. And like, okay, so what's wrong? And then like, well, you figure it out.
You figure it out.
I have to figure it out. I'm like, what?
Your problem.
What happened?
Okay, so the thing is, like, I'm not like that kind of person. Like, I don't like doing it like that, But it's just like from so many times, like, and so many things that built up, that makes me feel like I want to act out of spite. I was just so angry. I just want to act out of spite. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm suffering, So I want you to suffer.
You want me to suffer.
Yeah, by finding out what the problem is, okay? Like, you know what? The problem is not with me. It's with you now, you know? Yeah. You deal with it. I don't care.
You're shifting it on me.
Yeah. Like, I always thought that, like that way of, like, doing things. I don't like doing it, you know? Like, I'm just acting out of spite, you know what I mean? Like, the issue here is, like, I think it's, like, a waste of time. And it doesn't resolve anything. But I just get so angry that I'd rather that you deal with the problem, you know? You deal with it on your own since you get defensive all the time, you know? So that's your problem now. Yeah. I expect you to understand it. And if you don't understand it, I'm not going to tell you, you know? Like, that's you. That's your problem. We're not a couple anymore. We work individually, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of you guys out there can definitely understand this, you know? Like, and honestly, everybody. I think, you know... I think this thought process is like very common, like with women, right? Like I always see memes about this, but I'm definitely sure, like, you know, some guys do this too, where something's wrong and we don't tell the other person because we want them to suffer as much.
Yeah,
you know?
That's like,
you were suffering, you wanted me to suffer too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's
like,
very toxic, right? I mean, it's very toxic, right? Like it's definitely like what we were saying before the break, right? Like it's not about right and wrong. It's like good and bad, right?
Yeah.
And this is just bad, you know?
This is just bad. Like, you know, what are we solving there? You know? Like, now we're both suffering. Yeah. So that is not living cube, guys. That is not. So how do we solve that? How did you get over that? And like, how have we improved then?
No, the thing is, like, because we, like, solved the first problem, right? Like, it was just, like, I was just at a place of, like, such, like, bitterness, you know? And then, you know, I forgot that we are, we're like a team, you know?
Yeah, we're a team.
You know, like, we're not, like, individuals, but, like, we're a team and we got to work together, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just such, like a toxic and, like bad mentality for me to just kind of like drop the problem on you, and you're the creator of the problem, so you solve the problem yourself, you know? Even though, like, because it's a bad mentality, because we're a team and we need to solve the problem together, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there was this time that it was like, you know, there's so much division between us, you know, and we don't work together as a team, right?
Yeah, we're always fighting.
Yeah, we're always fighting because, you know, because I just feel like you're not by my side, you know?
Yeah,
so
you
know
feel
what?
Like we're on the same team.
Yeah, so I just give up, basically. I just give up because I don't feel like you're on my side, you know? Whereas, like, I feel like if I really love you and, like, you know, I say I love you, right? And if I really do love you, I would stay by your side no matter if you're by my side or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, of course, there is, like, a point that it gets too much. But it was just little things, you know?
Yeah.
And we just got worked up over, like, little things, right?
Like some petty arguments on, like, nothing that they escalate, right?
Exactly. So, you know, like, if our end goal, again, before the break, we talk about the end goal as a sustainable, happy relationship, right? You know, I lost sight of that, you know? Like, I was, between us, you know, I was more, you know, like, I had a clear vision of the future, you know, and I'm more active between the two of us, right? And I was able to see this future, you know, and, you know, instead of having sympathy for you, that, like, you don't have, like, the same, like, assertiveness as I do, you know, I was, like, angry of you for not, like,
being who you want me to be.
Not working towards this future with me, you know? Whereas, like, I should have just, like, trying to, like, show you
work together.
Yeah, like, not like educate, but more like, you know, like, kind of like guide you towards that.
Like cooperate, right?
Yeah,
like,
to incorporate with me, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, my method was just like, you know what, like, you know, if you can't walk with me, then you do it on your own, you know.
Yeah, and I can barely walk.
You know, the thing is,
so
like,
we just get farther apart.
Yeah. Because, you know, like, I think that a lot of people think that, like, relationships are, like, 50-50, right? Like, I think it's more kind of, like, sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's 90-10, sometimes it's 10-90, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, it's different. You know what I mean?
It varies, you know? Like, we cannot expect everybody to stay the same all the time, you know? Like, you can't I cannot expect you, Knock, to, like, be 100% all the time and, like, just give me, like, all your energy and all your effort all the time, to put everything into the relationship, but always, right? You cannot expect the same of me either, right?
Yeah.
There's some times in which you feel discouraged and you need a little push, right? And then I cannot stay like, oh, no, I'm just doing my 50%.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in those times, we're a team, right?
Yeah.
If the other person drops the ball, then you catch it.
Yeah, so,
right?
that's what I was saying. Like, I was in my, like, home country, I was in Vietnam, like, where I was born, right? And, I know people and, I have an environment here that works for me, right? Whereas you just move here, you don't have a job, you don't know what you're doing, and, you just kind of, like, trying to, like, define what it is that you want to do, right? At that point, you were in your 30 or your 20, right? So I should be willing to, give my 70 or my 80, But instead, I was selfish, I say that I love you and all of this, but actually, I only give you, like, I did my 50, you do the rest, right? I was, like, individualistic, and I think that was, like, a really, like, a bad mentality for me, that caused a lot of problems in our relationship, right? When I'm down, you will be there for my, like, you'll push your 70, your 80, but I wasn't willing to do that then. And I feel like it was hypocritical of me, like, to say that I love you and then my action doesn't reflect that.
Yeah, because we want to be, we don't want to just say words,
Yeah.
or once our words don't mean as much when they're not backed up by actions.
Exactly.
Right? Like, if I say, like, oh, I love you now, but then I'm always fighting against you, like, if I'm always trying to, like, prove that you're wrong, is that even love?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we call that love? You know? And, like, how we expect to, like, live like this.
And you know what? The thing is, like, like, how, like, in the end of the day, we always resolve the problem, right? But I feel like even though after the math, we do see our, like, fault in like the issues, but if we can, like, prevent it before it happened.
Because even after we've resolved it, right? Like you're saying, we end up tired.
Yeah.
We're exhausted.
No, but the thing is like this. Just think, like, when you break a plate, right? And you, like, put it together, like, it's still, like, the plate is healed, but there's still cracks on the surface, So when we fight, right? And then, like, we make up in the end, it's like that, there are still cracks, you know? The pain is still there.
Play won't be the same.
You want to tell the story of the nails?
Yeah, so think about this story, okay? To, like, represent this concept, right?
Okay.
There's a story about a boy who is very angry. He has some anger issues, so he's always shouting and fighting, right? And it's not good, so he wants to change. So his father looks at him and tells him, okay, for every time that you become angry, that you shout, that you lose control of yourself, you're gonna grab the hammer, you're gonna grab a nail, and you're gonna nail it onto the fence in their backyard. So on the first day, he puts 7 nails onto the fence. Time goes by and, like, he's still putting nails, but every time he puts less and less, until one day he goes the whole day without putting any nails onto the fence. And he's very happy, and he goes and runs to his dad and, like, Dad, look at this. Like, I didn't put any nails on the fence today. And the dad tells him, okay, that's very good. So now, to keep this up, every time that you meet with a difficulty, an issue that would, in the past, would have caused you to lose control of yourself, to become angry and shout. When that happens and you don't lose control of yourself, you don't shout, you don't get angry, you're going to remove one of the nails from the fence. Boy tells him, okay, I can do that. And so he starts working on it, and after a couple of weeks, he finally gets rid of all the nails. And again, he goes very happy and tells his dad, Dad, look at this. Like, I got rid of all the nails. And the dad tells him, that's very good, son. I'm happy for you. I'm very glad that you've kept this going and, like, you've changed. But look at the fence now. Look how many holes it has. This is how life is. This is why your angers, what your shouting and losing control of yourself causes. Because once you make this action, once you say those words, they're not gonna come back. You're gonna, like, nail this into, like, your words are like nails onto people, right? And even if you resolve the issue with them, it doesn't heal, right? I mean, it can heal, but it will leave a scar, right? Like the cracks on the plate, right? Like the person might forgive you.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, cause like we fight, right? And you know we always make it up in the end.
Yeah, we make it up in the end.
And you know it's always good in the end. But like the issue is like, you know, like it's not the same as the beginning.
Yeah, it's never go back to how it was before we broke the plate. Yeah. You know, before we put that nail on the fence.
Yeah, and you know, like the problem is solved, but you know, like maybe it's better that, you know, like we prevent, you know, prevent ourselves from like saying all those like hurtful things and you know, doing those hurtful things in the first place.
Yeah, it's definitely good to become good problem solvers, right? But it's better to go beyond that and prevent those problems from even happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can we do that?
So the first thing, obviously the most important thing that we definitely are talking about in this episode is, you know, letting go of expectations. Right? We expect, you know, other people to understand us. We expect other people to, you know, like
be a certain way.
Yeah, be a certain way, you know, be the way that we want them to be, right? And you know, like we need to let go of that. You know, and to let go of that, you know, we need to let go of the mindset, you know, that, you know, right and wrong.
Yeah, that we are right.
Yeah, that we are right and they're wrong. You know, and we need to shift the mindset of right and wrong to thinking cube. To thinking like, is this action going to be good or bad, you know?
Yeah, because we always want to know to think that we are right.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Even when we put the expectation that like, oh, you should be this way because it's good for you.
Yeah.
We're thinking that we are right.
That we're right in that it's good for you. Yeah. You know? We're right that we think that it's better, you know? But, you know, like, you don't know people know people
we
best,
might
you
be
know?
Pushing people towards a path that they don't want for themselves, something that might cause them a lot of suffering in the end, you know, a lot of, you know, internal conflict for them.
Yeah. So, you know, like, so obviously like letting go of expectation is the first step, you know, and to let go of the expectation, we need to shift our mindset. We need to work on our mindset even when there's no issues. You know, even when there's no issues. Every day, like me and Ricardo like spend 30 minutes to do nothing. And that's what we do in that 30 minutes.
Yeah, we think about it.
Yeah, we think about past problems or like the problem we had yesterday, you know, or something like that. To really like feel, you know, to feel the emotions that we didn't have time to experience during like a fight. And when we feel those emotions, you know, we can see, so our action then, did it bring like happiness? Did it bring like, you know, like good things to other people and to ourselves? Or did it only bring suffering, you know? Did it only bring like distress for us and distress for other people, you know? Yeah. And we experience those things in our like 30 minutes of nothing, right? We sit down and do nothing, for example.
Yeah, we ask ourselves, did we react it in a good way? Did we react it with a mindset of like, I want to be right, I want to prove that they're wrong? Or did we react it in a mindset that like it's contributing to our end goal, right? That, like, was this good in the end? Was this good? Like, did we help each other? Or like, was I just shouting and fighting against her for her to understand me? Was I putting my expectations on her?
And when we're able to like really see like the consequence of our actions, that's when we can, you know, shift our mindset, you know. That's when we feel like shameful that our action was bad, you know, our action was bring only pain to other people and to ourselves, right? Then we want to change. When we start wanting to change, to keep that mindset in our mind and always asking ourselves the questions, you know, like what is good and what's bad, you know, like is this action good, you know, is this action brings happiness to ourselves and to other people, or does it only bring suffering to ourselves and other people?
Yeah, we gotta see the destruction that it brings.
I think that it's very important, you know, to spend some time and reflect on you know, your day and the issues that has passed, you know, so that you can like really focus on the consequence of your action, you know.
And once you see that, it's gonna be easier for you to let go, because you're gonna see like how much destruction you're causing by having that mentality.
And like ask the question, does this action bring pain or does this action brings happiness, instead of like, was I right or wrong? You know, I feel like most of the fight caused in our lives is always because like we think that they're wrong and they need to apologize to us, so we're gonna like, it's just a waste of time, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're right, but now you're crying and she's crying and everybody crying.
And everybody's crying. Yeah. So that's it.
That's it.
It doesn't matter if you're right when everybody is suffering. Yeah.
So we leave you with that.
Yeah, we live with that. I hope you go and think cube.
Think cube and live cube and spend some time doing nothing, just reflecting. That's your challenge for the week.
Yeah, that's your challenge for the week. That's our challenge for the week.
The Thinking Cube challenge.
That's our challenge for the week.
That was Thinking Cube with Nuck and Ricardo.
That was a productive episode.
Yeah. Hope you guys liked it. We're on YouTube. We are on Instagram. You can also get the links from our Instagram page at thinking.cube. So
yeah, subscribe, support us,
listen to us every week so we can keep doing this.
So don't forget to keep
thinking cube
and living cube.